My name is Maisie.
Ana اسمي ملاك.
And let's talk about the Great Unconformity.
As you can see behind me, some places have stripes in the rock known as metamorphic layers. The layers of rock can tell us many things about the Earth at that time. It can tell us about the environment of the time, the climate, and natural disasters. As you can imagine, it would be detrimental if those chapters of our Earth went missing. Well, that's what the Great Conformity is. Most visible in the Grand Canyon due to its depth. A global mystery takes place. Billions of years of rock are missing without a trace. The amount of rock missing is equivalent to over 30% of Earth's history, roughly 1.5 billion years. During this time, many global events occurred, like Snowball Earth and the Cambrian explosion.
The Cambrian explosion was one of the greatest events in global history. Small bacteria were able to develop into creatures which are more similar to what we see today, with fins, eyes, and bones. It happened relatively quickly, so how it occurred is still a bit of a mystery.
Snowball Earth was a time in Earth's history where the entire planet was covered in ice. There were major glaciers occurring. This is one of the main ties to the hypothesis made about the Great Unconformity by scientists. Well, did the set of the rocks just poof out of thin air? Of course not. We have gathered some knowledge on the past of the Great Unconformity. For instance, the Great Unconformity is an umbrella term, encompassing the Great Non-Conformity and the Great Angular Unconformity. Macy will tell you more about that.
If you take a look at this diagram, you will see three main colors of rock. Each color of rock represents a different part of the Grand Canyon, split by the two unconformities. At the bottom of the three is the Vishnu Basement Rocks in gray. This is a group of igneous rocks from around 1.75 billion years ago, and they're the oldest rocks in the canyon. They were formed deep in the crust by continental collisions that eventually formed North America. If you look up, you will see the rocks shift to orange after they pass a white line, known as the Great Nonconformity. The Great Nonconformity represents a time of 500 million years where there were no sediments deposited and there was erosion of pre-existing rocks. This means no rocks were formed to that time, leading to a gap of 500 million years. After that gap, the orange rocks appear. These are called the Grand Canyon Supergroup. This supergroup is a group of diverse sedimentary rocks from the Precambrian era, aka 1.2 billion years ago. After that, you will see a group of blue rocks that are shifted upwards in comparison to how the other rocks are at an angle. Those rocks separated from the others by a red line. The red line represents the Great Angular Unconformity. The Great Angular Unconformity is another period of 500 million years when the rock is missing. In comparison to the Great Nonconformity, this is much more visible due to the shift in angle and being much higher above the ground.
Why is this significant? As stated before, the rocks are records of our Earth's history. The missing rocks would have given us information on very significant points in our history, like the Cambrian evolution. If we had the knowledge on those events, as well as many others in our evolutionary history, we would be able to advance science significantly and learn about the biology of ourselves and other species. We would also have our knowledge furthered on our ecosystems and environment, because the time missing during ice ages and environmental events we don't know much about.
What are some ideas scientists have for the reason that this might have happened? Luckily, scientists have been busy creating hypotheses. The main event that is the base for most of these scientific hypotheses is the Snowball Earth, which you might recall from earlier. It is hypothesized that the Snowball Earth removed the rocks around 720 to 360 million years ago through mass erosion from the ice. This ties to the quick development of organisms because it is also hypothesized that the Snowball Earth ice was responsible for their big shift in development. However, this theory is one that some scientists disagree with because the time frame does not line up with that of the global unconformities. Another popular hypothesis connecting it with the supercontinents that developed in the past, such as Rodinia and Pangaea. The formation and destruction cycle of the supercontinent Rodinia eroded layers in the rock over a very long period of time, 1 billion years. Because a supercontinent involves all the rock in the world, erosion over one supercontinent would be all of the land on Earth today.
This might worry you because you might be thinking we have lost this piece forever. Well, don't worry. We have other ways of learning about what happened during that time. For example, we can use the layers around the missing gap in the rock to tell us about changes that might have happened. If the rock becomes metamorphic, similar to the rocks behind me, after the unconformity, it can be inferred an event that caused high levels of heat occurred during that time. Scientists can also use the ratio of helium and other elements in the rocks as a paleothermometer. This is a tool that provides the temperature of Earth in a given time in the past. This method helps gather data about the rock's movement in the crust as it was buried and eroded over time.
In conclusion, the Great Unconformity is a series of events that happened billions of years ago, erasing millions of years of history from Earth's records. Reasons for this happening include snowball Earth and erosion of supercontinents like Rodinia and Pangaea. You might worry that this means that all of that history is lost, but scientists have figured out other ways to tell what happened during those years, including using paleothermometers and looking at the other rocks to make inferences about what happened during that time.
Thank you for watching. See you next time.